Right, I want to give a very short blog this week in which I say that in terms of the forum and in terms of most things, not a lot has happened this week. In terms of repercussions from going to Cage Gladiators, obviously my focus this week has been uploading all those videos. It has caught the attention of someone on the Gladiator, Cage Gladiator staff, so that's always nice to have your videos appreciated. Yes, this week the real big news is all international, and that's basically that Labour have dropped big style in London. In fact, they've lost London almost completely, being that the Conservatives now have Boris Johnson as the new Mayor of London, and Ken Livingstone, who's been in for nearly a decade, has gone. So that's not to be confused with the Lord Mayor of London. There are several positions in England, several mayoral positions in England that are Lord Mayors. Lord Mayors have a seat in the House of Lords as well, so they're representatives for Parliament, as well as being basically head of the sort of council in their jurisdiction. The Lord Mayor of London is a little bit different. He is almost ceremonially exclusive. He does have a seat in the Lords because he's the Lord Mayor, but he is elected. He is a newly elected person each year, and a lot of that has to do with who has the money and funds to mount a campaign and to win. The Mayor of London is the person who's in charge of the London Assembly, which is basically the council for London. He's the person who is basically the mayor in terms of politics. So the Lord Mayor of London is quite an interesting position, and I forget how that position came about offhand. But he does have mace, and he also has a pearly sword. So I imagine at one point he had a role that was not just ceremonial. So in my dealings at St Paul's Cathedral, the mayor that would turn up would be the Lord Mayor of London, which would be a different person each year. And each year when the new Lord Mayor is elected, there's what's called the Lord Mayor's Show, which is basically a huge parade through the centre of the square mile, with a carriage and all sorts for this newly appointed person who is ceremonially the Lord Mayor, and he gets to make speeches, I'm sure, and he also gets to attend big services and things like that, and he has a seat in the Lords. So yeah, but that's not changing. Or it's ever changing, depending on which way you look at it, and it's not really important. You never hear of the Lord Mayor unless you're sort of in the church in London, really, or in one of the I forget what they're called, livery companies down there. So the Worshipful Company of Musicians, or the Worshipful Stationers, which are basically all the early trades, a collection of people that are standing for those early trades. We have the Mercers is the largest one, which funded the lay community, or partly funded. But there's all sorts. There's stationers, as in those people who make stationery, pens, pencils, stuff like that. There's several to do with fabrics. I used to joke that there should have been a worshipful company of executioners at the Tower of London, but I don't think there ever was. So yes, so the new Mayor of London is now Boris Johnson, I think this came around because Ken Livingstone really apart from the fact people are really upset with Labour, I think it really came around because Ken Livingstone admitted to making a big deal out of the Olympics, not because he really wants the Olympics, but because he wants a way to redevelop Central and the East End of London. So he's been spending, using the Olympics as an excuse to do that, and he admitted that before the voting, and I think that's probably what sent him down the Swanee, so to speak. Anyway, that's really my blog for this week. I am absolutely knackered. I don't know why. I think I was hyper earlier on this afternoon because a friend of mine from London, from the Lay community in fact, appeared out of nowhere on my lunch break and surprised me with "Hello, I'm here," and I thought, oh my goodness, I haven't seen it was Angela. I haven't seen Angela in years. So I got all excited and now I'm knackered, so I'm probably going to go to bed.